Gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, trying. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities, Tuesday, June 10th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for subscribing if you have. If you have not, please subscribe as soon as possible. Also, we are live on X right now as well. X has been very, very good to us. Almost 2,500 people watched the show on X yesterday. It was a lot of fun yesterday. We'll talk about that in just a second. But thank you guys if you're watching live on X. We appreciate that. And then also we are available on all the podcasting platforms as well. So if you listen to podcasts on Spotify, on Apple, on Podbean, any of those, you can check us out there as well. We got a fun show coming up today on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coming up in a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by my good friend Chad Leistikow. Chad, a great Iowa beat writer with the Des Moines Register. It's been a busy week and weekend as the House settlement, the college sports House settlement came through, kind of changing a lot of things, expected changes in the world of college sports. How does it affect the University of Iowa? Iowa also making some announcements yesterday with a couple changes to some of the things they do, unveiling their flight funds. Also announcing that Scott Pioli, former Chiefs GM and Pat's executive, also taking the reins at the University of Iowa as well and doing some stuff. So a lot of things to get to with Chad Leistikow in just a matter of moments. So we're super excited to have Chad on the show once again, as always here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Also coming up in just a little bit, it was a fun week and a fun weekend, or I should say it's a fun week coming up on the 4th of July. We'll have the Firecracker run coming up, and also the John Deere Classic will be in full swing as well. Coming up in just a little bit as well, Joe Moreno will join us to talk about a new cool, not new, actually second year, a cool partnership between the Firecracker Run and the John Deere Classic. That's coming up. We'll also look ahead to the Quad Cities Marathon as well. So a lot to get to coming up with Joe Moreno in just a little bit later on in the show. Also hoping to track down Dave Heller as well to talk to him about some Quad City River Bandits news. So a lot to get to on today's show. It was a great show yesterday. If you missed yesterday's show, Luka Garza, former Iowa Hawkeye, current Minnesota Timberwolf, Iowa's all-time leading scorer, legend at the University of Iowa. Luka joined us to talk about his season with the Timberwolves, his development in the NBA. It was his first season where he only played in the NBA. So that was a great step for him. So he also talked about Fran McCaffrey's dismissal at the University of Iowa, the new era at Iowa, had some great Fran stories, and also talked about a camp that he has coming up throughout the state of Iowa once again. It'll be in the Des Moines area, the Urbandale area, Sioux City, and kind of those areas as well. LukaGarzaAcademy.com if you're interested in anything of those. So go check out Luka on yesterday's show. Also, something that we did that was a lot of fun, a lot longer than I expected, but Kent Prince and Mike Hagley joined me. What we did is we took the Brad Underwood era and we drafted players from that era onto our own teams. A lot of spirited discussions. I probably lost. I didn't do as great as I wanted to. Made some dumb decisions, but I made what I thought was the best value pick of the draft. I drafted Brandon Podinski, or Pods, to the to my team with the 15th overall pick. Of course, that angered some. And I will say right now, he's the best player if we're going to go play basketball right now. Ken did not agree with me. He believed Terrence Shannon is. So we have that debate going right now. It's a good one on social media. Check that out as well. But check out the entire segment. Really cool thing we did. We did it on the Hawkeye Report podcast with the Fran McCaffrey era with Tom Kakert last week. That was a ton of fun. Go check out that podcast as well. So check out yesterday's show. It was a lot of fun to get to as well. I'm trying to multitask, if you guys couldn't tell here in the beginning of the show, because I'm trying to find something that I kind of really need. So working through that as we get ready to start the show here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Also, I want to talk to you guys about what is coming up. The Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing is this weekend. The good news is we've had a great... There we go. I found what I needed. Everything's good. I can actually pay attention to talking now instead of looking down at my computer. So the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing is coming up this Saturday. Recently, we've had two teams drop out. So we have two openings. It's this weekend, June 14th, Highland Springs Golf Course. Ton of great stuff there. It's a 1 p.m. shotgun start. Go to GuyRandazzoGolf.com if you're interested. A bunch of familiar faces you'll see. Pat Anger will be there. Joe Conklin. Charles Jugasol, former Alleman standout, current left tackle at Notre Dame, will be in the house once again as well. Several familiar coaches from around the area. And also for the third year now in a row, I believe, we'll be doing the Iowa-Illinois Golf Challenge. We have a team of Illinois football players, captained by former Rock Island standout Cole Rusk, versus Iowa football players, captained by starting tight end Addison Ostrenga. So it should be a ton of fun. It's cool because the captains are both tight ends. So we're going to try to have them on later this week as well to kind of talk trash and all those kind of stuff. Year one was captained by Logan Lee for Iowa and Matthew Bailey for Illinois, and Team Iowa won that one pretty easily. Last year, it was Team Illinois answering back. Rusty Van Watsinga, captain Team Iowa. They golfed really well, but Cole Rusk brought QB1. I believe he's probably bringing QB1 again this year in Luke Altmaier, but he's a really good golfer as well. And Illinois won last year. So we'll see what happens here in year 3, but a lot of fun out of the course. Familiar faces from the world of Quad City media. James Sahara will be out there. Shelby Kluver will be out there working and helping us on one of the charity holes as well. A lot of great stuff to get to. We on 18, Mobile Party Experience has one of their trailers as well. They have a golf ball shotgun, which is awesome. So it really is a great time. On top of all that, Snoop's caters the entire day. So you'll get chips and salsa out on the course. And then, of course, you'll get a great meal from Snoop afterwards. So 2 teams now available. We were full. Couple dropped out, so get on that. I don't think they'll be there very long. So GuyRandazzoGolf.com. Go sign up. Go join us on Saturday as well. I should make a programming note. There will be no show on Friday. I have a lot to get done before we actually do an outing coming up this weekend. So no show on Friday. Friday will be a busy day for me running around and doing a bunch of stuff for the golf outing itself. So anyways, I hope the open made sense. Good show today. I was multitasking at the same time. Chad Leistikow, Joe Moreno, a lot to get to on today's show. So without further ado, let's get to our first guest. And joining me now to figure all this fun stuff out is the smartest person I know in the state of Iowa. Chad Leistikow is here with us from the Des Moines Register.
I thought that was Tom Kakert.
No, see, this is above Tom's pay grade. Like, I do drafts with Tom. I draft like Fran era players with him. This is heavy hitting stuff. First and foremost, great to see you. I miss you. You haven't been on in a little bit, but like it's kind of been a slower time for you. Have you gotten to like relax a little bit or no?
Yeah, actually, my family and I went camping this past weekend, so we still camp, and then we've got a trip planned here in the coming weeks to the great state of Maine.
Love it.
So yeah, this is the time when I get most of my vacation in because, as you know, from about end of July through May anymore with the portal, like it's crazy. So
it was
finally,
it was almost
June,
busier.
It feels like a time to breathe.
Yeah, it was almost busier in April and May than it was like during the season, which is crazy. I remember, of course, you were down covering the Oklahoma Iowa women's game when the Ben McCollum stuff broke. So you were doing, it was just a crazy time. So no, it's good that you can catch your breath. It was an interesting weekend because we've been talking all season about the impending House settlement and all of those kind of things. It went I think it was Friday it went through, or over the weekend, whatever it was. Can you explain to Iowa fans in the most basic terms what all of this means? My 15-year-old asked me like this morning, like, what is all this stuff about? So can you explain what does it mean in the most basic sense?
I mean, the biggest part of it for people that haven't been following as much is that finally, for the first time ever, universities can direct pay their players outside of a scholarship or they've had this academic stipend type thing, basically a salary. They're not employees yet. That we'll get to that probably a few years from now. But and there is a salary cap. So if you follow the NFL, or most sports, not MLB, but NHL, whatever, there is a salary cap in this House settlement. It's really a unique thing that it even happened. But it's a salary cap for all athletics spending from a university. And this coming year, 2025, 2026, is set at $20.5 million. So that's a lot of money. You don't have to max out, but you can. And all Big Ten teams plan to max out, including Iowa. The general consensus is that 70 to 75% of that $20.5 million will go to football. As of now, there are no Title IX restrictions on spending, so you don't have to spend half and half yet. Could be lawsuits, probably lawsuits expected on that. But for now, all these programs are not going to bail on football. They're not going to try to go cheap on football. So that's essentially it. And then schools like Iowa, let's say you've got $6 million, you spend $14.5 million. Now, this information also will not be publicized unless an AD wants to publicize it. But let's say you've got that football. How do you spend that at the University of Iowa? Well, it's going to be different than what you would do even at Nebraska because they have a great volleyball team. It would be different than maybe what you do at Wisconsin because they've got volleyball. Iowa's got wrestling. Iowa's got women's basketball. So how does Beth Getz and the department parcel that all out? I'm sure we'll get into this, Matt, but this is something that they have been working on for a year. They knew this was coming, so they're not caught off guard here, and they're already starting to roll out kind of plans in place to start paying players on July 1st.
How did they come up with 20.5 million? Is it the 20% of all media revenue, or where does that number come from?
22% of average Power 4 conference athletics revenue is where they came up with that.
Okay.
So you figure what would 22% be? I guess it would be a little under 100 million is probably the average athletic department budget. Iowa's is 173. So they get that number from that. And I don't know how they came up with 22%, but that's what it is. And and it will change. Just like the NFL salary cap, Matt, as you know, as a Lions fan, it will keep going up so you can spend more money on Sam Laporta when he's ready.
Need it.
Jack Campbell. And it will probably go up in the coming years. So maybe next year, 2026, 2027, maybe it'll be 22.1 million. We don't know yet. At some point, we'll find that number.
Oh, so many questions. So there's a cap, but there used to be you couldn't pay them, and God knows that people were still paying them. So is the cap? Do we believe the cap's going to work, or is it just going to go back to maybe others spending more, but it's not legal per se, or like how do they can they enforce the cap, I guess is the easiest way to put it.
I believe so. I mean, they've got that stuff is going to be documented, so it will be, I believe that will be pretty well regulated.
Good.
Now, there still is outside NIL spending, so it's not just this. It's not like NIL is outlawed. However, there is a clearinghouse now that we'll see. It's a really interesting thing. It's basically a review. It's a firm that's going to review every NIL deal over $600. So imagine how many of these they're going to be going through to see that it's worth, you're getting what you pay for type of thing, where it's work for pay, or, who knows? Like if you're endorsing something, I can't imagine they can put a dollar cost on that, but we'll see how that all goes. Yeah. And then some people are just going to say, yeah, good luck trying to stop us. We'll see you in court.
Yeah.
But the NCAA's counter is, well, if you do that, you risk your eligibility. We can take that away. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that gets all vetted out. But I think the point that I would drive home to Hawkeyes fans, for example, listening to this is, you've got $20.5 million. Ohio State has $20.5 million now. Like this, and yes, they maybe they even have another $20 million of outside NIL. Who knows? Probably not quite. But you're at least. It feels like the field has been leveled a little bit, where you can. It's not completely equal. Obviously, I think still those big schools are going to have the infrastructure to pay more and find ways to pay more. But you could be pretty competitive. At $20.5 million, Matt. I averaged it out for. I believe I did the figures for $15 million, but 105 football players average $138,000 annually. So and you're not going to pay half those guys even close to that much. Yeah. I mean, some of those guys are barely going to get, books, like the walk, it's just the way it's going to be.
Sure.
So you're going to be able to pay for these guys. And the way Iowa's going to do it, as was explained to me by Tyler Barnes on our radio show last week, is their proven guys are going to make the most money. They're not going to go pay a high school kid $1 million to come here. They're going to recruit like they always do. They're going to develop like they always do. And they're going to tell you, you're going to get paid when you're going to make the money, not only here, but in the NFL. And that's Iowa's sales pitch.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid sales pitch to have. A bunch more questions there, but when we were talking earlier about Iowa has women's basketball and Nebraska volleyball and those kind of things. What happens to a school like Creighton, which has 2 Iowa Hawkeyes now playing basketball, that made they don't have football? Do they just get to allocate differently? And is that almost an advantage for those basketball programs or programs there that don't have that cash cow like football to have to fund?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't cover like Creighton
Sure.
directly, but I believe that's a big reason why the playing field in basketball might be quite a bit different. Because just think about, it's almost like you're, not quite a power team in football. Like if you're a mid-major or something. I mean, maybe it's not quite to that extreme, but like Indiana has said it's going to pay more in basketball, in men's basketball, right? So, that makes sense. Their fans would love that. They're going to, why are we going to, they're not going to shortchange basketball. So it's just, each department. Now, does Creighton have $20.5 million? I don't know. I mean, I don't know their finances. They're a private school, right? So,
Yeah.
We may never know, but we do know that Mr. Freeman and Mr. Dix got probably pretty decent deals to go to Creighton, and there's probably a good reason for that because they can spend on basketball. Yeah,
That makes
a great
sense.
point.
That makes sense. Okay, so on Monday, Iowa announces the flight funds. Basically, it's it allows donors to invest in the program. I saw like tax deductible. Some words I understand. Tax deductible.
There you go.
I also understood like it's like ticket priority, where like it'll help them get maybe more priority on tickets and all those kind of things. Explain flight funds to me, and what's the difference between flight funds and the swarm?
Yeah, completely different actually,
Okay.
because this is think about it as if you were donating for the Kinnick North End Zone project a while back. You're essentially donating that money to the athletics department fund for for use in the North End Zone, right? To renovate the North End Zone. You're a donor. You wrote this $5 million check. I want it to go to the North End Zone. Well, now you can do that for paying players. Okay. You still can't go over the 20.5 mil, but Iowa's still going to have to meet its budget, just like it raises money for facilities. It's going to try to raise money for paying players to be competitive on the field. So that's what that money is. Now Iowa, 20.5 million. I mean, that's a lot to come out of your budget. I mean, Iowa's net, expenditures versus revenues is within 2 to 3 million ish every year. So it's not like they've got an extra 20 million they're banking every year. So they are going to have to find ways to pay this, and that is one of the ways to maybe spend more on players than facilities. So who knows what that means for the Carver Hawkeye renovation at some point. So that they're talking about. You're going to have to choose what you want to spend money on, and I think the right move right now is you can't not spend on your players right now. I mean, at this point, you can't say, "Oh, we'd rather have a little nicer arena, but we don't want. We're not going to have a good team, but we might have a better arena." So, so that's part of that. So Swarm is still going to exist, and you can still. That's where like you can donate for, the Caden Proctor deals or what what I mean, like the big ticket guys that come in, the Gronowskis. Now you can still pay those through the university if the university chooses to do that. But they can mix and match too. So, it's completely different, and it just depends on where your heart is on that. If you'd rather pay the university or pay Brad and the Swarm.
No, absolutely. You see a name come out like Scott Pioli, and obviously anybody who knows football, that's a GM for the Chiefs and an exec for the Patriots, and that kind of name that came out today kind of had Iowa fans, eyes open a little bit. Can you explain, or do you understand? I'm sure you do. You're a lot smarter than I. What's Scott Pioli's role now at the University of Iowa? Is he an employee of the University of Iowa? Is he an employee? Is he I saw a consultant. Like, how does that all work? And what purpose does he serve right now?
Yeah, so I've asked, for clarity on some of that. Haven't gotten, a ton of information on that yet. But as they describe it, he is. He was retained last fall by the department in preparation for revenue sharing, and he's a buddy of Kirk Ferentz's. So that's one of the advantages of having a guy that's been plugged in for so long. Pioli really is, an admirer, a friend of Ferentz, and this guy knows the business of how to. I would think how to handle a locker room, like how to pay players and make sure the most successful NFL teams, Matt, over the last 10 years. Don't know if the Lions quite qualified for top 8, but Tyler studied the top 8. I know the Bears didn't for sure. But we know, but he mentioned the Chiefs, the Ravens, the 49ers as examples. How they spent their money, and then he would look at the bottom 8 teams. How did they spend their money in the salary cap structure? And he found some interesting discrepancies. That those top 8 teams typically drafted a quarterback and hit it, right? So that's a big lesson that we've seen Iowa take hold of here in the last year, right? Since they knew this was coming. They're rallying the troops at quarterback with young guys. They obviously got the Gronowski short-term solution in place. They needed that. They could not have that. But they've got four guys now that are sophomore or less, and Hank Brown, Jimmy Sullivan, Jeremy Hecklinski, and now Ryan Fitzgerald, Pat's son. They're all young quarterbacks here to learn that system. So if you can essentially, Matt, draft a quarterback, right, recruit a high school senior quarterback that hits, you're not going to, over the long run, you're not going to overpay on that position. And that's that's where those NFL teams, like when Patrick Mahomes was on his rookie deal. I mean, that's Joe Burrow. I mean, just go down the line, all these teams, Brock Purdy,
Caleb Williams this year when he becomes a star.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we'll see about that. I do like Ben Johnson, though.
I do
have
too.
faith in Ben.
But that makes sense, Chad. Like that makes sense if you can do it correctly and hit it correctly. All those things will definitely save money. Chad Leistikow.
I think that's what Pio will help with too. With some of that because he knows what works and where not to overpay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Chad Leistikow joining us right now. I have to talk a little bit about football before I let you go because it's coming fast, man. I know you get to go on a vacation and all that kind of stuff, but when you get back, we hit the ground running, and it'll be here real soon. And you did a great article recently. Maybe it was, and you'll know when it was. I want to say it was a few weeks ago, maybe longer than that, maybe a month ago, but about Tim Lester and the influence that he's having. I've talked to several people at the University of Iowa that love and are excited about what Tim Lester's done. And I thought he did a great job in his first year, hitting the ground running and get a lot of stuff in maybe when he was behind the 8 ball. And we just talked about the quarterback room. It's completely changed. I'm bullish on this team because of that room and almost because of Tim Lester. Your thoughts on where things are going. And I just keep the buzz around Tim Lester is I'm a big where there's smoke, there's fire guy. And when enough people tell me that like things are going in the right direction, I tend to believe it as well. What are your thoughts when it comes to the Iowa offense, that quarterback room, and obviously Tim Lester, you did a great article on.
Yeah, and that interview was, when was that? It was in May. I went over to Omaha, and he was at an iClub thing over there. So that's when I did that. So it's probably been close to 3-4 weeks now, I guess. So there is a buzz, and I feel like we still need to see it. But we also did see it in the spring game that the receivers, the passing game, and this was without Gronowski, were clicking. I mean, they were hitting their passes. Jackson Stratton was on that day. Hank Brown did okay, The receivers looked good. I mean, Reese Vanderzee looked really good. Dayton Howard looked good. God, I'm blanking on some of the other ones that looked really good, but Seth Anderson had a couple nice catches. Not Jalen Watson. Who's the young receiver? God dang, I'm rusty here, man.
I'm blanking
brush
on
up. I know,
but they all looked good.
But they were hitting. Yeah, they were hitting. God, I feel embarrassed that I can't come up with these guys' names.
You'll remember it here in a second. I guarantee.
I'll get them to you by the end of our show. Yeah. But yeah, there's a belief that year 2 of this system is when the passing game can click a little bit. And so we'll see. He's confident that it can. He saw evidence. All the receivers talked about it. Caden Weechin, there's one of them, had a good spring game. And we'll see if they can make that come to pass. I guess the defense might be actually more of a question mark this year. So that could be interesting to finally have a defense that, you got some questions to answer about. But yeah,
Sure.
I'm with you. I'm more bullish on this team because of the offense. The only thing that pauses me right now is the schedule. The schedule is just so tough.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to be good on offense. They might have to win some shootouts. I think it could be a really fun year in that regard. You might see, some more, 40-31 game. You know what I mean? Like they're instead of 13-10 all the time, you might actually see some of those types of games. So, and you've got a lot of great teams coming to Kinnick. Indiana with a great offense. They're going to be good again. Indiana's going to be good again. Scott Docterman assures me they will be. Penn State's coming to Kinnick. Oregon's coming to Kinnick. Iowa's got to go to Iowa State. Got to go to Nebraska. Got to go to Wisconsin. Got to go to USC. What's the other road game? Rutgers. So that those five, and then the other two home games that I didn't mention that are tough: Michigan State and Minnesota. Well, Michigan State beat them last year. Minnesota beat them 2 years ago in Kinnick. So there's like no easy games this year. So other than Albany and UMass,
It's funny because
two wins.
every time I get worried about an Iowa defense, I just think Phil Parker, and I just kind of calm down. I'm like, if you're worried about something that Phil Parker's leading, then everything's going to be okay. Before I let you go, the scheduling kind of came out last week when it came to. Well, did you take anything out of that? I was listening to, and I'm going to mess it up, but it's Legends and tell me what it is. It's your
listeners.
I call it Chad and Doc show is what I call it to everybody. But I remember like the 5 o'clock, and I referenced on this show because there has been like a 5 o'clock start at Kinnick. And Docterman knew it, of course. It was like 2017, something like that.
Yeah, it was 5:40 p.m. against Minnesota. We looked it up.
Leave it to Doc.
Minnesota.
Leave it to Doc to know stuff like that. It's. But did you take anything? I know that Doc is the schedule guru. I love it. But what did you take out of the reveal of the schedule times and all that kind of stuff? What we found out? Anything big?
Well, I think the Cyhawk game being at 11 a.m. is just notable. I mean, the fact that it's the big noon game on Fox, it's big. It's been a big deal for many years. I feel like the nation's really kind of picked up on that since 19, maybe. So that's always a tough game. It's probably going to be a toss-up type spread. I believe that's a must-win for Iowa to have any hope of a really special season, much like it was last year. You felt kind of the air come out of Iowa's season right away last year when they lost that game by a point. And you saw what I did to Iowa State's season. So just a monster game that we can picture in our heads now. We know it's going to be an 11 a.m. kick. We know that Jack Trice parking lots are probably going to open at like 5 a.m., maybe earlier, to get ready for that one. I live like an hour away, and I'll probably have to leave my house, by 7 to make sure I beat the traffic.
Sure.
Hopefully no presidential candidates are coming this year. And then the other little wrinkle was a Friday night game at Rutgers the week after a night home game against UMass, which is interesting. I don't think it should affect the Hawkeyes too much. They're used to these turnarounds, but we do remember last year they did travel a couple time zones west for a Friday night game and kind of laid an egg at UCLA last year. So off a short week, and so can they? They've done fine on the short week against Nebraska most years. Ferentz doesn't worry about that Friday stuff too much, but it is the Big Ten opener, and there will be a test, and if you can pass that test in week 4, you get an extra day for Indiana to come to Kinnick, and Indiana has a tough game the week before that against Illinois. Illinois is going to be good again, and so maybe if you can beat Rutgers on that Friday night and let's say you're 4-0,
right,
and they 1-0, 4-0 overall, 1-0 in the Big Ten. And then you got Indiana coming the next week to Iowa City. 8 days rest. That's probably helpful.
You just said Illinois, and you didn't say my Illini. You're growing up, like you're maturing right before my very eyes, Chad. I'm so proud of you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't. You're right. No digs taken here. I even praised the Lions a little bit.
Hey,
I feel like.
And think about that though. You're right. If they can get past Iowa State, they go out and take. Didn't they go to Rutgers a few years ago on a Friday night and hammer them? It feels like it was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was a Friday or Saturday, but it definitely was a night game out there. And that was Cooper DeJean's first
I bet
crazy
you it was a Saturday.
pick six.
I bet you it was
I think it was a Saturday.
because
Yeah,
I
I think
was,
it was,
if it was
but-
Friday, I wouldn't have been watching because of high school football. But anyways, that would be a huge game against Indiana. And it's funny, I'll look at the schedule of the games that don't have kickoff times. And I just looked at Indiana this year and I thought 11 a.m. kick. I just assumed because it was Indiana, and I had to go oh wait, they're relevant now. They're good now. So that would be a huge game as well. Do you look at the schedule okay, hey, think about it though. And I talked to this Kakert about this. 2 bye weeks, 2 Friday night games, or a Friday game and a Friday night game. I know you'll travel, so that makes it a little tougher going out to Rutgers, but that gives you some Saturdays off to actually watch college football. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a good point. Except that I was just thinking, so I'll be flying back from Rutgers probably during most of the games.
Yeah.
There's no direct flights to Newark that I know of to Des Moines, but
Get on that.
maybe there is. Someone can tell me. But
Can you?
I'm not. I never get to watch football.
I know.
But NFL. That's why I'm an NFL fan.
See?
I can actually watch games on Sunday.
I love it. Can you tell people where to check out the Tyler Barnes interview if they can, and then all of your stuff? Because I mentioned the I read his stuff all the time. Tim Lester article was fantastic as well, and that was it was March 16th, so do the math. But 3 weeks. But the Tyler Barnes interview was fantastic. Tell my listeners, my viewers, how to check out all your stuff.
Yeah, if you subscribe to if you have an iPhone, just subscribe to Hawk Central, 2 words. Our weekly podcast shows up there. But if you want to, and so our last show was with Tyler Barnes, and then I will have a sit down with Phil Parker in the coming weeks on that feed. Hawk Central, 2 words. You can get it on all the platforms, but I know most people have iPhones, so just go to your Apple Podcasts. But I have a couple articles too. But HawkCentral.com also houses all that stuff if you don't like apps or whatever, and check it out there. HawkCentral.com is where all our work goes. My buddy Tyler Tashman works his butt off. He lives he's my colleague, and he's in Iowa City, and so he's the best teammate because he grinds. He just doesn't even want. He had ACL surgery, and so he's has nothing to do. So he just wants to write stories, and he's just posting stuff constantly. So. I do expect some Hawkeye recruiting news in the coming weeks. They have a big recruiting week coming up, so I'm sure Tyler will be writing a lot of stories of commitments while I'm on vacation here in a couple weeks. But yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I love it. I appreciate it. I always say it, especially when it comes to Tom Kakert. Chad Leistikow is the best Iowa beat guy in the business. It's not even close. Dwarfs anything Kakert tries to do. I appreciate you, my friend. Enjoy the vacation. We'll talk to you again when football season gets rolling. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, that is Chad Leistikow joining us here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A lot more to get to coming up next. We'll check out a really cool partnership between the John Deere Classic and the Firecracker Run. Joe Moreno joining us right after this on Off the Air. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? That fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Saturday night, June 14th, the Steamwheelers face off against the Parade in an IFL battle that's going to rock the vibrant arena. And it's Digital Bobblehead Night, presented by XUSD Blockchain. All fans in attendance with an active MetaMask digital wallet will score a limited edition Steamwheelers NFT bobblehead, a one-of-a-kind collectible you can't get anywhere else. High-flying IFL action and digital collectibles? Now that's next-level game night. Grab your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Of course, the weather beautiful this time of year. A lot of people getting outside, running races, training for marathons, those type of things. And when you think about that, you think about the young man always associated with running here in the Quad Cities, my good friend Joe Moreno, joining us here on OTA. First and foremost, young man, thank you for doing this. Welcome, your first appearance on OTA. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you, Matt. I'm excited to be here. I've always looked forward to this. I knew the day would come, and here we are.
I love it. I love it. We got a lot to talk about because I don't know exactly where to start. And I think I'm going to start with, obviously, the Firecracker coming up, 43rd year. When you hear that, Joe, 43 years, and it's such a special event in East Moline, what goes through your mind when you hear that?
I never thought we'd be in this position. I would be in this position. I knew the race would go on. Good things last forever. But I'm just grateful to be in this position, Matt, because nobody wakes up one day and says, I think I'll be a race director. It's not like that. It just happens, and happened organically. I'm just lucky to be here, and 43 years, gosh. God, I've been doing this for 33 years. I never thought I'd be in this position 33 years later, to be honest.
Did you, now that I think about it, when did you get involved with the Firecracker? And obviously you've ran a lot of them before you started running them. What's your history with the race?
So I was a participant the first few years, and I think it was around the 8th anniversary. I went to John Perez, the founder of the Firecracker Run. He's still with Adolph's Tacos. I mean, they started this thing, and Brooks Law Firm, Jack Brooks, and those guys. And I went to John Perez's house to just get ideas and tips on how to put on a race. And I walked out of his house 4 hours later with his race. He saw this young man that was too naive to say no, and in the end, it was a blessing. It's much better to take on something that's well established, good reputation, good leadership with John Perez, and continue that tradition versus starting from scratch.
Can you take me back to year one, probably as a runner, and now getting ready for year 43 as a race director? What was year 1 or 2 or whatever like? And now when you get there today and you see the huge crowds that are there, I think 3,000-ish people usually sign up. You can correct me when I'm wrong. But What's the growth been like to watch over all these years?
It's so cool. And the best part of it, Matt, is now keep in mind, 33 years ago, I was introduced to a lot of people that were participants of the Firecracker run. And I got to know a lot of people back then and over the years. And that friendship continues. And then next thing you know, they're growing up, they're having families, their parents brought them that back then. And now all of a sudden they're parents themselves, and they're bringing their children. And now those children are raising families. I've seen 3 generations literally come through the start finish line. And it's just a beautiful thing to see that tradition in families. It's such a cool thing.
No, I bet. One thing, Joe, that always impresses me is the running community in the Quad Cities. And I think it's grown, it's gotten bigger and better. Not that it wasn't always great, but kind of talk about that, because people think of the events and of course, and you're so modest, but they think event, maybe Joe Moreno, but I know, and most people know those volunteers, that running community, super important to all the events, especially the Firecracker.
Absolutely. You know what? We're just so lucky to have such a great running community. And I say this all the time, Matt, but runners around here, when they go out of town and they go visit family, they go on vacations, they run a race here or there, the local organic races that they participate in outside of the Quad Cities, they get to grade or judge us for putting on our race and those events that are out of town that they're participating in. And it's not until then do they realize that we have a great running community here in the Quad Cities. And we put on events and we do it well. And there's a lot of good people, at Fleet Feet Running Club, at the Corn Belt Running Club, independent races throughout the Quad City area. I mean, gosh, next weekend, Father's Day weekend, there's probably 5 races here in the Quad Cities. There is. And so we're spoiled here, but a lot of people don't realize how spoiled we are until they go somewhere else and participate.
No, I completely agree with those sentiments as well. Is it ever easier to put on the event? And I don't mean that in like a mean way at all, but like an example, this weekend I'm doing my dad's 11th annual memorial golf outing, and it gets easier because I feel like I'm establishing and knowing what I'm doing. I know there's always evolving, and you guys have done a great job evolving with all the events, especially the marathon, which we'll talk about here in a second. But do you feel like you're in a pretty good groove? I'd hope so after 33 years of doing this.
Yeah, we're in a good groove, but you know what? I have anxiety. I get restless. I'm nervous. You would think after all these years that wouldn't be the case. No, I'm just as nervous as I was the very first year, because so many things with all these moving parts, anything can go wrong, and you just want to make sure everything is right. And you gotta, I'm blessed to have great committees, but you just trust that everybody's going to do their job, and they're experienced and they're passionate, and that the volunteers will be there. And I'm still nervous about that stuff. I should be sleeping. I should be on automatic, where it's just, oh gosh, after 43 years, it's a piece of cake. It's not a piece of cake. It's not. I don't care what anybody else says. It's not. As a race director, you're putting on a wedding for that one day, that 1 year, and it's like, gosh, you want everything to go right. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not easy.
No, I know. It definitely is not easy, and it's such a cool, because there are great events and races and all that stuff in the Quad Cities, but with the Firecracker. And maybe I'm biased because that's I think, Joe, that was the first 5K I ever ran. I was out of college in college, out of college around that time, and I started running more, and that's the first one. And I remember completing it going like, wow, I just ran a 5K. And I've loved coming back. But it's something different about that thing. Like it's because it's 4th of July. It's because of the red, white, and blue all over the place. Isn't there something about that morning that just fits visually and, emotionally when you get down to East Moline?
That's so true. And you know what, and I said this earlier today at another opportunity, gosh, the Firecracker has a really good niche going. And the niche is the fact that we're on a national holiday. It's a proven fact. The statistics show it, where races that fall on Thanksgiving, on July 4th, on Memorial Day, even St. Patty's Day, those holiday races have an advantage when it comes to promotions and marketing and support and returning participants. It's just in our case for the Firecracker Run, it becomes a tradition. And back to the generations I mentioned earlier, it's a tradition for the families to come home from college or whatever or come back and visit the family, the roots where they grew up here in the Quad Cities, and do the Firecracker while they're here, because that's what they used to do before they moved away. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, we're very blessed in that area.
No, absolutely. Joe Moreno joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. What I love about this year, and it happened last year, and the schedules always kind of change. 4th of July is the Firecracker, but for a while, the John Deere Classic was maybe a week afterwards. And obviously a schedule change recently brought it kind of closer together. And when I think of summer in the Quad Cities, and I'm not BSing you, it's the 4th of July and the Firecracker. And I remember there were times that I'd get to run the Firecracker knowing that I should enjoy the weekend because John Deere Classic week's about to come. Now they're together. And I think you and Andrew Lehman have done a great job of marrying two huge traditions in the Quad Cities together. Kind of talk about that relationship, how it started. And if people don't know, you go take advantage, you run the 5K, run a 10K, volunteer, all these ways gets you a ticket to the John Deere Classic on Thursday or Friday this year.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I can't thank Andrew and his staff enough for reaching out to us. And I just think that they reached out to us for mutual benefit. It's good for them. It's good for us. But the fact that Andrew reached out to us, and it could have been another organization, another event going on that weekend, but I think they saw that we're a well-established, well-organized, reputable event, a staple in the community, and logistically, we're so close. I mean, the John Deere Classic is right here in Silvis, Illinois. Here we are, East Moline, Illinois. We're neighbors. We're in the same community. It just makes sense that they would reach out to us and ask us. And we're so honored and we're so grateful. And you know what? If we weren't a well-established, good event, maybe they wouldn't have asked us. But gosh, the fact that they asked us, and of course we're going to say yes. How do you say no to a classic, just like the name states, like the John Deere Classic? And I'm not a golfer, Matt. You know this. You've never seen me on the greens. You may never see me on the greens. But I always thought I'm going to take up golf when I retire. I've been retired almost 14 years, and I still don't have time. But gosh, what a great event that is. And I'm looking forward to going. I want to go on Thursday. I can't go. Yeah. Well, I probably could go Friday, July 4th, after the pressure's off. But I'm looking forward to it.
Did you have any feedback? Did you get any feedback from the first year? Did you hear racers that say that was great, that I got to go and take advantage? Because really what it is whether you like golf, don't like golf, and I tell people, even when you race or don't race, go down to the Firecracker, volunteer, cheer those guys on. Whether you're walking, running, or just watching, it's a great event to be part of. That's what I say for people at the John Deere Classic. And now Andrew and his staff has done such a good job with the concerts on the course and just making it such a community event that's what I think the cool part is that they're both great events to go to. Did you get good feedback last year from racers that got to enjoy a little bit of golf afterwards?
We did. We really did. And it's even to the point where, we didn't offer the volunteers last year. We get about 150, 200 volunteers for the Firecracker run. I had numerous inquiries about, hey, what about us? Can it be expanded to the volunteer base? And so Andrew and his team expanded it to include the volunteers this year. But gosh, that's really a cool thing when the participants acknowledge the good that you're doing, but also want to continue something that we just started last year, and that's that partnership with the Classic. So it's a good thing. I see, Matt, next year, the third year, taking it up another step, and we just got to give that some thought. What else can we do to continue that spiral up? To benefit everybody that's involved in both events.
Here's what we do. Are you ready for this? Andrew Lehman, Andrew runs the Firecracker, okay?
Ooh.
And then you golf in the Pro-Am. You guys switch roles. You have to golf. He has to run. Thoughts? What do you think?
Well,
it could be a challenge.
I think, but gosh, you know what? It's easier to take up running, even if it's just for that one time, than it is for a guy like me to take up golf. I would feel bad for the guys that are golfing around me.
No one would be safe.
I like that idea.
No one would be safe. I told Andrew he should run. I don't think he's gonna, but I told Andrew he should definitely run. Joe Moreno joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And Joe, just for people who are watching and wondering, it's as simple as signing up to the Firecracker, right? I mean, there's no special bells and whistles. They sign up and tell people how it goes, and do you get the ticket after you get done? Do you use your bib? How does it all go down?
It's a digital registration with the Classic. It was so easy last year. You know, I'm old-fashioned. I thought, you got to present your bib. That's your proof of participation. No, the Classic is so cutting edge, so modern, so contemporary, so techy, in such a positive way that they don't mess with that. It's pretty simple, pretty clean the way they did it. And if I remember correctly, all the participants will receive a notification that, hey, here's your code to get in, and that's how it works.
It's as easy as that. You guys make it really easy for everyone to go enjoy two great events. Joe, before I let you go, and I can't let you go without talking about the marathon. And I know it's June, but like it's going to be July, and it's going to be August, and then next thing you know, it's going to be September, and that thing. 28 years of the Quad Cities Marathon getting ready to come up, if I'm not mistaken. Just to hear that as well. We talked about the 43 years with this, but and I'm gonna challenge that some people aren't gonna like this, and you don't have to respond. I think it's the best race in the Quad Cities. I think it's become a staple of the Quad Cities when it comes to sports traditions here in the Quad Cities. Just the growth of that. I love the line is always 6 races, 4 cities, 3 bridges. 2 states and a post-game party or after race party. There's so much going on with that, and it continues, like you say, to evolve throughout the years. And that's the beauty part, is everything has to evolve. And I think you've done a good job with that as well.
You're right. I can't say enough about that event, not because of my involvement from the get-go, but what it does, what it gives back to the community. And I just want to mention this too, Matt. I think every race should have a purpose or a cause, and people should ask, what is it? And I do get asked that, where do the proceeds go to this or this for that event? But for the TBK Quad Cities Marathon, gosh, I'm so proud of the fact that we outfit over 500 children with brand new pairs of running shoes. on race weekend. I'm so proud that we raised thousands of dollars for the prostate cancer initiative that we started. And then something we started a couple years ago with the charity bib program. Last year, Matt, we dished out over $35,000 to local charities, aside from what I just mentioned. And so everybody, somehow, some way, the quality of life in the Quad City region is improved because of this event. Somewhere, somehow, we're all touched by this. And I'm just so proud of that. I mean, because it's more than a race. It's more than, it truly is.
And we talked about the volunteers with the Firecracker and all the races, but the marathon's the same way. And I'm going to do something that I don't hope he's not watching, but everybody can take part. And I got my brother Larry. You know Larry well. He does so much with the racing community. He ain't a runner, but he loves it and he's part of it. And he's finished 5Ks and all that kind of stuff in the past, but that's not his thing. But he loves being there's something for everyone. And I think that's what people are finding out more about is it used to be maybe stereotype that like the running world is the running world and you have to be, a super good, there's walking, all the things you can do, but then there's just volunteering and taking part and being part of raising money for a bunch of great things. Talk about those type of volunteers. I don't want to be too nice to people like Larry. I think everybody else is great. I think Larry is awful, but talk about the volunteers that are part of every single thing you guys go to do.
You know what? We have volunteers that bring something to the table, whether it's their passion or their time or their talent, or in Larry's case, it's his talent and his time. He is involved in everything, all the successes I've had over the years. Your brother, Larry Randazzo, is behind the scenes. I mean, when it comes to all the registrations, everything that goes through the registration platform goes through Larry Randazzo. And that's the type of guy we need to clone because, gosh, God forbid something, he's not around or it can't make it one day, or it's like, what are we going to do? But to your point, we have so many volunteers that bring something to the table, and there's plenty of room. We've got a lot more room for more people to step up. You don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be a fast runner. I find myself, Matt, saying the word runner a lot. And I'm going to start transitioning to participant because especially, and I'm starting to see it at my age, I'm almost 70, there's participants walking now. And, you got to cater, you got to reach out, you got to solicit the runners, the walkers, the joggers, the volunteers, everybody. Everybody in the community can have a part. And if you don't want to do any of that, to go out to a course, as you mentioned earlier, any course, and it runs by your neighborhood, bring a lawn chair, sit out there. Runners like it. Even if you were not saying a word and not cheering them on, the fact that you're out there, runners take note of that. And we like that. We appreciate that. Yeah. So there's something for everyone to get involved with.
Joe, you mentioned, like, I don't run with music. I do every day when I go for runs. But when I do the events, I don't run with music, and I literally love to talk to every volunteer. My kids think it's annoying, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And it passes my time. I enjoy it, and also they're out there. Like, I love the fact that they're taking their time to help out me and us and the participants. Yeah. I do the same thing. This will be the first time Larry watches the show. I'm gonna have to text him and tell him he has to watch it because we spoke nicely. We do not need to clone Larry. Trust me, this world can only handle one Larry Randazzo. No, I love him. He's a good man. So you're a good man as well. Before I let you go, your lovely wife had a birthday yesterday, so I'm going to give you a chance to wish her happy birthday. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to make you ask how old. I'm just going to say she's 30. Does that work?
That'll work. Yeah, she looks 30.
Yes, exactly. And you guys are getting ready for anniversary 50, is that right?
49 this year, 50 next year.
Oh, She's a saint.
Can you believe it?
She is a saint.
She's put up with a lot.
I love it. I love it. Well, she's a lucky woman. You're a lucky guy. And the Quad Cities is lucky to have you. Joe, you're one of the best in the business. We always love this. And the beauty part is we can do this more often now. So I'll be bugging you again this summer. Thank you for what you do. You volunteer, or you donate things to my dad's golf outing coming up this weekend, which is awesome for you to do each and every year. So we thank you for that. Be well, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank
Awesome.
you, Matt.
That is Joe Moreno, the Firecracker coming up right on the corner. Take part in it. Get a free entry into Thursday or Friday of the John Deere Classic. And then, of course, the Quad Cities Marathon right around the corner as well. We got more to get to here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. After the break, we'll go from, the Firecracker and the John Deere Classic to the River Bandits. Dave Heller is going to join us to talk about little Quad City baseball and a Quad City baseball player who was here in the Quad Cities last year who's already playing the bigs right now. All that and much more. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Tuesday here in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves.
Hey guys, this is former Hawkeye Jake Gervais inviting you to the 5th annual Rally for Reed football camp.
Go, run, run, run.
This year's 5th annual Rally for Reed football camp will take place on Friday, June 27th at Jack and Pat Bush Stadium at Davenport Assumption High School. Come learn the game of football from several familiar faces.
1, 2, 3, go, Taco!
All while honoring the life and legacy of Reed Gleason and also raising money for the Rally for Reed Foundation and the continued fight against pediatric cancer. There will also be a spirit camp the same day hosted at St. Ambrose University. To sign up or get involved, check out rallyforreed.org and make a donation or sign up for the camp. Thanks.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. Tuesday, June 10th. Thank you guys for joining us. A little easier right now. Beginning of the show, technology was throwing me a curveball, and I knocked it out of the park. But full attention on the show now. It's been a fun show so far. Some disappointing news, but we're going to reschedule. Dave Heller not able to come on right now. We're going to get him on probably beginning of next week. The Bandits in the middle of a 12-game homestand, although they're in the middle of a 5-game losing streak, so they got to get that thing snapped right away. But they're in first place in their division, doing well. Wanted to catch up with them about that. The homestand, I think it's pennant night, and then like $2. Boy, I think drinks and hot dogs tonight. But anyways, get down to Modern Woodman Park. And also wanted to talk to him about Jack Caglione, because Dave Heller sat in this chair, or in that chair you can't see next to me, at the beginning of the season, and he thought that Jack Caglione, who wasn't in the Quad Cities anymore, was here last year, would be in the big leagues before the 4th of July. And he just got called up last week. So wanted to talk about that cool story as well and a bunch more. So anyways, we'll get caught up with Dave Heller probably early next week, because this week we'll be getting a little busy. And then again, no show on Friday, getting ready for the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing. It'll be a lot of fun at the golf course this weekend. So we'll catch up with Dave Heller a little later on, early next week as well. Wanted to talk about a few different things before we let you go. I mentioned at the beginning, the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing is coming up this weekend. We have 2 teams currently available. So if you're interested in getting your team signed up, do so ASAP. Hopefully they'll go quick. GuyRandazzoGolf.com. A ton of great people will be out there. You'll see a lot of familiar faces. Charles Jugasaw from the Notre Dame football team will be there. Pat Angerer, Joe Conklin, some other former Hawkeyes. We'll have some current Hawkeyes and current Illini players as well. We always do Iowa versus Illinois. It's the 3rd year of that annual challenge on the golf course itself. Year 1, as we mentioned earlier in the show, it was a team captained by Logan Lee and a team captained by Matthew Bailey, and it was Logan Lee's team winning that year, the first year. Last year, Cole Rusk captained the Illinois team. It was Rusty Van Wetzinga on the Iowa team captaining that team, and Team Illinois won that one, including QB1 in the house. Luke Altmaier was here as well. This year, Cole Rusk captaining that team. I'm assuming Luke Altmaier might be with him as well. They're roommates and good friends. The Iowa side will be captained by Addison Ostrega. So it's kind of cool because it'll be tight ends at both school captaining the team. So plenty of Iowa players, plenty of Illinois players as well, plenty of familiar faces. Highland Springs Golf Course, 1 p.m. is the shotgun start. You'll see familiar faces like James Zahara will be out there, Corey Kuffler. Shelby Kluver helps with one of the charity holes that we do out there, the giveaway holes as well. So she'll be in attendance. So a lot of great things going on this weekend. 2 teams still open. Get on out there. GuyRandazzoGolf.com is the website. Get signed up, ASAP. Yesterday's show, a ton of fun. Luca Garza joined us, and we also did a draft with Ken Prince and Mike Hagley of Brad Underwood players, the era of Brad Underwood. We drafted those players. I'm getting a lot of blowback on social media from Illinois fans because as of right now, if I was a general manager in the NBA, I would take Pods, a starter for Golden State, averaging 12 points a game, over Terrence Shannon. I think that's the best player to ever be on a Brad Underwood roster. Now, I understand he didn't play a lot. He transferred to Santa Clara, and the rest is history, but he still was on a roster in the Brad Underwood era, and I think he's the most talented or the best player that's been in his era. Terrence Shannon Jr. has a chance. If he gets more of an opportunity, that's an argument. And obviously, his career at Illinois a lot better than what Pods was, but just my opinion is that if general managers had a chance to choose one of those guys to be on their team, it would be Pods. So anyways, Ken put up a poll. Illini fans are voting for Terrence Shannon, which I expect. That's fine. But check out the show. It was a lot of fun. We argue Kofi Coburn and Luca Garza. How that happened, I don't know. So it was a lot of fun. Check out that show. Ken Prince, Mike Hagley. That was yesterday's show. Boy, we probably did the thing for an hour. So it was a lot of fun. So we appreciate both of them for doing that, and go check that out as well. Later this week, in fact, I think tomorrow, I'm really excited. I got to confirm things with him, but I'm going to be joined by my good friend James Zahara. We got to talk about the outing. He's been out there from the jump. Really great human being. One of my favorite coworkers, one of my favorite people, one of my good friends. And also I want to get a weather update because for the last 10 years now, going on 11, I've always given him a lot of pressure during this week. Yelled at him, all those kind of things. So we'll hopefully have Jay-Z on tomorrow to talk about that. Also tomorrow is Steam Wheeler Wednesday. The Wheelers rolling right now. They came off the bye week, won 2 games on the road. They're back at home this Saturday. So a big night down at Vibrant Arena. They play this weekend. They're 8-2, one of the best teams in the entire IFL. So Steamwheeler Wednesday tomorrow. So we got James Zahara, Steamwheeler Wednesday, and a whole bunch more tomorrow. We'll do a show on Thursday as well, and then get you ready for the weekend. And of course, the Guy Randazzo Memorial this weekend as well. So, thank you to Chad Leistikow, who joined us on today's show, helped us explain kind of what's going on with this new era of college sports and how the University of Iowa is handling things. Great stuff from Chad. Go check that out. And then always great to catch up with Joe Moreno. Literally one of the best people in the entire world. The only part of the interview I didn't like was the fact that we spoke nicely about my brother, Larry Randazzo. So I'm sure he's going to put that all over social media because that doesn't happen very often. But it was a lot of fun to get caught up with him. So if you're going to run the Firecracker, get signed up for that. Get a free ticket to Thursday or Friday at the John Deere Classic as well. Volunteers also, if you're volunteering for the Firecracker, you get a ticket to the John Deere Classic as well for Thursday or Friday of this year. So a lot of cool stuff going on between two great summer sports traditions here in the Quad Cities. So, well, that'll do it for today's show. We'll get back caught up with the Dave Heller coming up next week as well. I want to thank you guys for watching. I had a blast again today. We'll do it again once again tomorrow. And as always, I want to thank our fantastic sponsors for allowing me to do this silly little show each and every day here in the Quad Cities. Also, all of them helping out are a big part of the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing as well. So great businesses here in the Quad Cities. Godfathers of Quad Cities over there in Silvis. Andy Furman, a fantastic dude. Great pizza over there. Rafferty Funeral Home, awesome, amazing Quad City-based funeral home. Hungry Hobo, can't say enough about. Considering my waistline is probably bigger than what it should be because of them. The Quad City Steamwheelers, great partnership with them. Excited for Steamwheeler Wednesday tomorrow. And then I think Snoop was my first sponsor. He's the best of the best in the business. He'll be a big part of Saturday. His fantastic food will carry the load for the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing. So make sure you guys support and sponsor these fantastic companies as well. And Mobile Party Experience will be out at the Guy Randazzo as well, and they'll be soon a sponsor here of the Guy Randazzo, or excuse me, of the Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So I want to thank you guys for watching a Tuesday edition of OTA. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.